Hey there, Alyssa here, and I just wanted to take a minute and tell you a little bit about why I became a brand strategist and how that journey kind of evolved for me over a period of really about 15 years. So, back in 2002, I was a stay-at-home mom. Actually, I had been a stay-at-home mom for a while, and finances were pretty tight. We were paycheck to paycheck, and I really wanted to stay home with my kids. I really didn't want to send them to daycare. And truthfully, at that point in time, there wasn't much that I had the skill set for that would pay for daycare and be worth sacrificing all of that time with them. So I started a business and it flopped. And then I started another business and it flopped. And there are a whole lot of details in there, of course, that I could go into. But the point is, I understood and I understand today what it's like to be a struggling business owner. So here's what happened. When my second business was tanking, I did a reevaluation. One of those life altering moments where you sit down and you take a good hard look and say, what am I doing? How do I fix it? What's going on here, right? And I began to really study what makes businesses fail or succeed. I knew the stats. I knew the stats were not in my favor, right? So many businesses fail, right? It's a very high percentage. And I wanted to know what was the difference? What made a business fail versus make a business succeed? And so I really began to research that, honestly, out of desperation, like wanting to find a way to not fail at this thing again, because putting my kids in daycare just wasn't an option for me at that point. And so as I began to learn and study, what I discovered is that one of the biggest deciding factors in whether a business is successful or not is what they look like when they come into the market. So here's what I mean. When I would watch a new business launch for the first time and they came onto the scene with a bang and they looked good, right? They looked like they had all the customers they needed. They looked like they had their act together. They looked like complete professionals right from the start. They tended to do really well. But when a business came onto the scene and maybe with just as good an offering, just as good of a price point, just as good of a service, but they didn't look like they had it together. They looked like newbies. They looked like a struggling business. They sounded a little bit like a struggling business. Well, they tended to be a struggling business. And why is that? Well, if you think about it, it's because as consumers, we want to invest our time and our money into things we feel good about, right? We feel safe investing in them. We feel safe putting our money there. We feel safe ordering from them. We feel confident. It makes us feel good to feel like we trust where our money is going. We trust the people on the other end, right? And so that's where branding comes in, right? That's where branding, kind of the rubber hits the road when it comes to new businesses. So as I began to discover this and realize what an important piece of the puzzle I had overlooked, I hired a team and I spent thousands of dollars on branding and a website redesign and the messaging, all of it that came with defining a stellar standout brand. And because at that point I didn't have the skills to do it myself, it did cost me thousands of dollars. But here's the thing, when I relaunched, it worked. It was completely different. I started to get customers and I started to get repeat customers and I started to grow my business. Now, I eventually did have to grow that business because of things that happened in the market, things that happened in the economy that were out of my control. But what was in my control was branding, and it made all the difference. So when I did close that business down, I spent the next decade really digging into what is branding, how does it work, how do you do it effectively, What makes it work for some people and not for other people? What makes it work for a new business? Can a new business put the pieces together in a way that inspires that confidence in their potential consumer, that makes them feel safe, that makes them feel connected? And then I took it a whole step further, because here was my thought. As someone with an entrepreneurial spirit who wasn't currently running a business, I knew I wanted to get back into business someday, and I knew I didn't want to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to just get started. So what I wanted to know was, okay, now I get the mechanics, right? I understand how to fit all the pieces together to build an effective brand. But now, how do I make sure that that brand is something truly special and unique? It's like that it factor, right? When a business comes on the market, sometimes they just really attract your attention, and they have something that just draws you in and makes you want to be part of what they're doing, or makes you want to buy from them, right? It's that emotional connection. So over the course of the next few years, I began to develop a strategy for building emotional connection into branding. And I call this formula that I developed the standout branding formula. So when I went into business, into branding and design, I started with my own business, and I went to work proving everything that I had studied and establishing my own business as kind of the first case study. And honestly, the results have been pretty amazing. I signed my first $5,000 contract on my second day in business, and it has not stopped since. And as I have taken on new clients and I've begun to implement the standout branding formula in their business, it has replicated, and it has done the same thing for their businesses over and over again that it did for my business. And so that's how the standout branding formula was first created, why it was created, and how it has been proven. Now, the standout branding formula is what I use with my one-to-one clients in my personal design agency. But I can only help so many business owners at a time. And I also recognize, because of my experience as a business owner, as a struggling business owner, I also recognize that there are business owners out there who really want to do it themselves, or really don't have the budget to spend thousands of dollars hiring a designer like me. So I created something completely new that I have never seen on the market before, and it's called the Brand Collaborative. And the desire and intention of the Brand Collaborative is to help business owners formulate brands that propel their business forward, make sales easier, make those emotional connections, all the things that branding should do, but allow you to do it yourself with the right help. So if you're interested in any of this, or if you're wondering if branding just might be something that could really help my business, I put together a free training for you, and it's called How to Create a Standout Brand That Makes Marketing and Sales and Emotional Connections 10 times easier without hiring a professional or spending thousands on ads. So if you're interested in that training, click the link or type me in the comments, and I will respond in Messenger and get you connected. So if you're interested in grabbing that free video, it is an on-demand, available anytime. So if you're interested in grabbing that video, it is completely free, no strings attached. It's going to give you an inside look as to how. So if you're interested in grabbing that video, it will give you, so I created this free on-demand training that is designed to give you an inside look into how branding works, what it can do for your business, and show you a few misconceptions that you might be believing about branding that are holding your business back.